So in this video tutorial, we are gonna cover ActiveMQ with SpringBoot. So what we are gonna simply do is that we are gonna create two applications, application 1 and application 2 here. So we're gonna have the communication be administered through the ActiveMQ server. So application 1 will send a name through the AMQ server, then send that name through to the second application, then we'll just display through the console. That's basically what you are gonna do through this application. So let's get to it. ActiveMQ server, so you can just say ActiveMQ download. So after saying ActiveMQ download, you'll get the activemq.apache.org website. Then go into the website. Then you'll see different versions of the ActiveMQ. So we will select the ActiveMQ5. So after selecting the ActiveMQ, you can choose any version you want, or if you're using any different distribution, you can choose any distribution that you want. But for us, we are going to use the zip since you are on Windows currently. So you're going to click on download the zip. So the download will start here, but I've already downloaded it and extracted into my system. I'm just gonna cancel it. So let's just go to the downloads. So it's already here and I've already extracted it into my system. So on the CMD here, as you can see, we're on the downloads. You're gonna say cd apache tab and it's gonna direct us to the Apache. Then let's just look at the files, dir to check the files, then cd into the bin directory, which is the binary files, then dir to check the files. So we are going to use the beta version to start our ActiveMQ server. So in starting it, you're going to use ActiveMQ start ActiveMQ.bat start, but you're not gonna start it now. So let's go to the Eclipse IDE. So on the Eclipse IDE, you are gonna create two applications, one to send messages to the queue and one to dequeue messages from the queue. So let's just start with ActiveMQ. Let's create a new SpringBoot application. So we're gonna say new Spring Startup project. So on the Spring Startup project, we are gonna create, let's just call it application 1. So application 1, we're gonna use the Java version 8 because I'm using it. Maven as our type, and you're gonna use jar here, and obviously it's Java. So you can leave everything as it is, or you can specify the group or artifact, the version, description, and the packaging. So we're gonna say next. So you're gonna search for the Spring Web, as we're gonna create an endpoint for our application, which will send just a name. So we're gonna say Spring Web. Then again, let's search ActiveMQ for the ActiveMQ dependency. Okay, where is the dependency? Oh, let's just say Apache then. So there's different dependencies if you are using Kafka or Artemis, but you are using ActiveMQ or Camel here. So we are gonna say next, then finish. Then the application will start creating on this side here. So we're gonna wait for the application to finish downloading everything from the Maven repo in terms of the dependencies you have specified, which is the web-based dependency and the ActiveMQ dependency. So yeah, it's on 79 now. Run, baby, run. So the application has been created. So we are gonna create two classes, which is the controller and the service class. The service will be responsible for sending the message to the MQ server. So let's start first by creating a new package. Let's call this package controller and finish. Inside the package, you're gonna create a single controller class and name it as send controller. So the controller will be responsible for receiving the name through the REST endpoint, which will be sent through to the MQ server. So we're gonna send it using the Chrome. So let's just annotate this controller with @REST controller. We are not gonna use the request mapping, but you can use it if you want to. So we're gonna say public string. Let's just return the string base to the browser. Let's just return the string back to the browser. String send name, and say string name, which will be received from the API, and say string name. So here let's annotate it with @getMapping. So because you are sending data back to the browser, we are gonna use the @getMapping HTTP method. So let's just say send, then we are gonna pass the name through the API, which will be the name which will also be sent through the MQ server. So let's use the path variable, which will receive the name through the API. If you are familiar with Spring, you know that when you send an API, you have to specify the path variable if you are sending data through the API. So we are sending the name, which will be sent here. So currently there's no service class. You're gonna define the service class here that will send data to the service class and through to the MQ server. So let's create a new package and call it service here and finish. And inside this new package, let's create a new class. Let's call this send service, the send service class, and finish. So here we're gonna annotate it at a component. You can use @service if you would want to, but @service is embedded inside that component. So here you're gonna define a single method that will send data to the MQ server. So public void send name, and say string name, which will receive the name from the controller, string name. So we have to define the JMS template, which will be used to send data through to the MQ server. So let's say private JMS template, here. Then let's use constructor creation of the actual bin, which is the JMS template, and say JMS template, JMS template. So then this dot JMS template is equals to JMS template, and let's auto-wire it here. So if you know about Spring, you know that if you have any bin that has been created or any class that you need to access, you need to use the auto wiring method. So we are using the constructor based method here. So we are gonna auto wire the JMS template into our send service here. So when the name is sent from the controller to this method, it's gonna get through here as a parameter. Then you will use the JMS template, then the dot convert and send. So you're gonna define a queue, and this will receive, this is the message that will be sending to the queue. So this will be the queue name, and here will be the name that will be sent from the controller through our service class to the MQ to our other application. So let's go back to the controller class and let's auto wire. Now I'm using the method, the field method auto wiring. So let's say send service, send service. Then let's auto wire it, auto wired. Then we're gonna use the send service here where we said we're gonna define the service class. Let's just remove this. Then let's say send service dot send the name. So obviously when you are working with such things, you would want to include threading. So but we're not gonna use it on here. Then we're just gonna return the name back to the browser here, as we're gonna use the browser to test. So let's go define the properties file. So in the properties file, you have to specify the URL for the ActiveMQ and the default login details, which will be admin and admin. So let's say spring.activemq.broker URL. Let me go to my previous application here and say, let me copy this because it's too long to just type. Let me copy this and paste it here. So on here, which will specify the TCP localhost 61616 wire format, the max inactivity duration initial delay, which is 30,000 seconds. So you have to specify this. Obviously in production things will be different. So spring.activemq, we are defining the default username and password, activemq.user is equals to admin, which are the default ones. Spring.activemq password is equals to admin. So our first application is done. Let's just test it. Let's go to the command, then let's start the ActiveMQ server. You're gonna use ActiveMQ.bat and start the server. So let's just wait for the server to start. So while it is starting, let's just go through our application again. So we define the properties file for the definition of everything that will be used to connect to the ActiveMQ server. So after defining the properties file, we defined our controller, which will receive a name through the API. Then the name will be sent through the method, sent through to the service. The service will receive the name here, then send the name to, just did something here. Send the name to YouTube. Send the name here. Let me just leave it there. YouTube bag. Yeah, let's just use the name there, YouTube bag. So it will send to the queue name YouTube bag. I don't know, maybe it's a place somewhere in this world. Pretty sure it is. So let's just check if the server has started. Yeah, the server has started. Let's go to the browser and we are gonna access it on the port 8161. So localhost 8161. Then the basic authentication has to pop up for us so that we'll be able to enter in the admin, default admin. Okay, so the browser has catched the admin and admin, so you will be prompted a basic auth here. Let me just use the incognito mode to show you localhost 8080 admin queues. So on your initial thing, you'll be prompted for this. You just type in admin, then you'll be able to sign into this. So let's go to manage broker and go to queues. So currently the queue was created a long time ago, but now it's no longer YouTube. Let me just delete this one. It's YouTube bag, a name in our beautiful world. So let's just start the application. Let me go to my main app here. So when you create a SpringBoot application and you go to where the main method is, you just start it like this and it will start. So let's start it as a SpringBoot app. Let's analyze the console here to see if we have any issues. The application is starting. Let's view the properties file. Everything is okay. Started the application. So the application is started. If you can view here, started on port 8080. So let's just type localhost 8080/send/hunze. And this is the name we will be sending through the MQ server. So let's just analyze our API here, the most basic API ever. So if we can look at this here, it will be localhost, which is the application, 8080 the port, then send, which is this API, then Hunzi, the name will be received here. So that's how it is. Then the name will be sent here and through our to our MQ server. So let's hit send and see what's happening. Send. The name must be brought back here. So as we said here and defined, that will return the same name as a string as back to the browser. So let's go to our ActiveMQ. So let's restart here and you say YouTube bag, our famous place. I should create it. Maybe I should trademark this, YouTube bag. So as you can see, the number of pending messages is 1. Number of consumers is 0 because we don't have a consumer application. Messages in queued is 1. Messages dequeued is 0 because we don't have any consumer defined that will be able to consume this message pending here. So let's go on and create our second application that will receive all this, not all, this name. Maybe I should send YouTube bag as the name next time.